When you're building a van, it feels like everything is such a major decision, but there is not one more important than what keeps your snacks cool. Hey, I'm down here on the floor today because I want to show you how my Jackery and my Dometic fridge freezer work together. I had a camping trip last weekend. I have a video coming out tomorrow about that, but someone pointed out to me that I could use my Jackery to power my fridge and my freezer to go camping, because I thought, I need a cooler, I need ice, duh, I already bought this Dometic, but there was no power hooked up in my van. So I tried it on the Jackery and I have it plugged into DC power. When I started this little experiment, the fridge was not turned on, the freezer was not turned on, and my Jackery was at 100%. So let me show you where I'm at now with my temperatures and my draw. So here's where the Jackery is. It's down to 94%, and it says I have 23 hours. It's running on 3740 watts. Okay, now let's go check. Try and zoom in here. This is my Dometic. It's set at 35 and 5. This 35 is the bigger side, and this 5 is the freezer side. So this is the fridge, this is the freezer. So we're almost up to temperature. So I'm gonna let this run a little bit longer, and we'll check back in after it gets up to temperature and see what the draw is. There are a lot of 12-volt fridge options out there. To name a few, there's ICECO, there's BougeRV, I think that's how you pronounce it, and APR or ARP, I don't remember, forgive me. I considered most of them, but I'm going to tell you why I chose what I chose today. In the end, I went with this Dometic CFX75. And I chose it not just because it's a dual zone fridge. I actually chose it because of how I plan to build my kitchen. After all, I'm building this van to fit my life, not the other way around. So let me show you a mock-up drawing, which is not very good, of what I plan to build my kitchen like. So as you can see down here is the Dometic. Then there's going to be some plumbing for the sink here. There's going to be 16 inches in between the Dometic and the counter space, so that way I'll be able to have some storage here. Between the upper cabinets and the counter, there's going to be 16 and a half. Now, my measurements right now are 75 inches from floor to ceiling, because it's really 77 minus 2 for the floor, so that's where my height comes in. The Dometic is 20, the 16 for the space in between, 16 and a half, plus another 16 for the counter, or for the cabinets, gets me to 68 and a half, which tells me there's room to adjust. Here's a full shot of the Dometic, and you can see it is tight. I'm in a Ram ProMaster 159-inch high roof. So this is my water tank for my future water build. And over here are the controls for the Dometic. Now if we push this button, we can see that one of the sides is turned off, and we just get to turn both sides on here with these controls, and I'll show you that in a second. So here I am in zone control on the menu, and I'm going to turn it to both on. So when I go back out to set temp, you can see that one side is set to 36, the big side, and the small side is set to 41. So let me set these to the correct temperature. Okay, here's what I set the temperature to. The big side is this side over here, and I'll show you that in a second. The small side is what I set for the freezer side, and that's at 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Over here, if we open the lid, we can see where it says the big side. I don't have any food in here, but these baskets come out, this adjusts, and there is a drain plug in case anything gets wet in there. And this is the smaller side, which I have to move everything over. So this is going to be the freezer side, and there are some snacks in there from my camping trip, and that's how this whole thing got started with the Jackery. As you can see, there's a little latch here that will release the slide, which I did already. And when I build my countertop, it's actually going to be above where this goes, and this will slide out and I'll have access to both sides. My fresh water tank here, which will feed my sink and my shower that I'll be putting in over here, was almost an exact fit. I put this Dometic slide in without having the luxury of having this on hand yet, and as you can see, it just fits where I put it. Other fridges would have saved me maybe a couple $100, and maybe I would have spent more on other fridges, but this one fits right into the plan that I've designed from the previous slide that I did. It fits exactly where it needs to fit. It's rugged, and it's got the dual zones, and it's app controlled, so I can obsess over if my fridge is cold enough from the bed. I will give you a cut later on in the video to show you how much power that's drawing off the Jackery to get it up to temperature, and then once it gets to temperature, how it cuts into the Jackery. I'll probably leave it plugged in for the next 12 hours, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to throw a visual up on the screen, a little chart that I came up with, but let's talk about our other options. So there's an ICECO VL60, and that has a solid reputation. It's a little smaller, but it is good value, and it's doesn't have a slide footprint. The second is a BougeRV 53 quart, and that is more affordable, but it doesn't have the dual zone, and it's tighter for longer trips, which, as you know from tuning into my channel, this is going to be my lifestyle. I'm going to be on the road traveling across the country and back again. My plan and my goal is to travel for a full year. So to have something like this Dometic that I can stock and not have to worry about stopping to replenish all the time and making sure that I have freezer and fridge, that's a thumbs up for me. There's also this ARB Zero. It's top tier quality, but it costs more, and it doesn't fit in the space as well. I think that one is really tall. So the CFX75 gave me the dual zone cooling, 75 liter capacity, and a shape that's the drawer style, and I can it installed in seconds. It really didn't take much skill at all. I just put some screws in the metal frame and opened the slide latch, and it slid right out. Plus, Dometic's been around forever. They're kind of the OG of van fridges. But honestly, choosing a fridge for me was less about brand loyalty and more about how I wanted to build my space. So yeah, maybe I chose my fridge first and my kitchen layout second. But hey, when cold brew is on the line, you've got to have your priorities straight. It's an hour later. Let's see. So we plugged it in at 11:30. It's now 1:30 since my last check-in with the Jackery to see how the power is going. Jackery's at 91%. It has 21 hours left of charge. That's what it says. Over here at the Dometic, we are at 34 degrees on the fridge side and 7 degrees on the freezer side. And if you remember, it was supposed to be 35 and 5. So we'll check back in again in another hour or two. Back in the van, it's about 2:30 now. We started at 11:30. So let's see, since the last, I guess it's been 2 hours since I came out to check how we are on our Jackery and our Dometic. A little light on my camera because it's raining outside and I don't have the doors open fully. So we are down to 88% since 11:30. And now it says 99.8 hours, which should be the Dometic is kind of at its temperature. Let's go look. Okay, let's see if I can get a good shot of this. we're at 34 and 5, which is at temperature. I'm just gonna back out of this screen and look to see what our temperature. So if we're in the set temperature, it's 35 and 5. So we're actually below temperature on the fridge side, but we're right on the freezer side. So let's get back out of here. 34 and 5. So I'll probably come back and check in a couple of hours and see where our battery draw is. Right now, again, it's 88% on our Jackery. It's been 6 hours since we plugged the Dometic fridge freezer into the Jackery, and you can see that we're down to 79% of battery life left and 17.2 hours, and the output is 45 watts. So let's go over and do our test on the Dometic. Here we are at the Dometic, and you can see that the fridge side is 34 degrees and the freezer side is 7 degrees. It's supposed to be 35 and 5. And for this test, since I'm gonna run it overnight, I added some ice cubes over here to this side just to see if they will stay frozen for our test. We'll see in the morning when I get up. Good morning, it's 6:30, and as you can see on the screen, it's down to 49% and down to 11.4 hours. Let's go check the Dometic. Okay, this is interesting, and I don't understand why it's doing this, but the fridge is down to 30. It should be 35. We'll do one more check before I wrap up, and that's 24-hour check. We'll just call it all one shot. It's sprinkling out, so this is the last test, and then we'll wrap up here. So we have on the Jackery 40%, 9 hours left. This is, sorry about the glare, this is 12 hours, 24 hours? 24 hours since we started this test. Let's see how the Dometic is doing. Here we are at our Dometic, 36 degrees in the fridge and 5 degrees in the freezer. Let's check on our ice cubes. Ice cubes are still frozen solid. Awesome. Next video, I'm going to power the Jackery with the solar, so stay tuned for that, and let's wrap up. Welcome to the end of this long video. Okay, so to wrap up, we did at 11:30 on Tuesday, we started the test. The Jackery was at 100%. I charged that in the house, and the Dometic was not up to temperature to keep anything cold. We checked in at 12:30, it was at 90%. The Dometic was 34 degrees in the fridge, 7 degrees in the freezer. Checked in at 2:30, everything was in the Dometic up to temperature, down to temperature maybe, I don't know. And the Jackery was 88%. 5:30 we checked again, it was down to 79%, still up to temperature. 6:30 this morning I checked again, that would be Wednesday. 49% of the Jackery battery was left. Dometic was 30 degrees in the fridge and 7 degrees in the freezer. And then to end our test at 11:30 this morning, it was down to 40%. And the Dometic was still at temperature. So it drew a total of 60% off the Jackery in 24 hours. And that was including getting it up or down to the right temperature in the Dometic and maintain the temperature. So just to let you know, you probably would get different results if it were hotter out, because here the weather was very fair. It ranged from the low 50s to the high 60s, and I would expect the performance would be different if it were warmer out. So thank you for staying for this whole long video that I decided to do. And next I'm going to power the Jackery, which I've never done, using solar, and I hope that today it will clear up around 2:30 this afternoon, and I'll be able to start that test and get the next video out so you can see how to charge the Jackery. All right, thanks for tuning in. Bye.